While it's supposed to be May sweeps for the soap operas, at least in the U.S., I don't really know the structure of British soap opera ads. Same goes for Australia. But in the US, May is a sweeps month. It's when the advertisers look at the ratings and the shows can see how much ad revenue they can maybe make for the show from their ads. Well, soap opera fans every sweeps month these days like to look, is it actually May sweeps or is it May sleeps? And this May in the US is May sleeps, like most sweeps months over the past several years. That is what we're getting from all of the American soap operas. Now, I'm going to probably more so focus on two of them today. The Young and the Restless is the least of my worries still with the American soap operas. I don't know if it's like that good of a show right now. It's been good in recent months, so as anybody who's watched my rankings can see that Young and the Restless is up for me, but I do still think Josh Griffith should be replaced as head writer, so maybe we could actually have consistent drama on that show, because it can still be boring. I'm not going to talk about Bold and the Beautiful much today either. I mean, I've already aired my gripes out over the Bold and the Beautiful over the past month. And since today my topic will be the head writers of GH and Days, Bradley Bell's not going to leave Bold and the Beautiful anytime soon, if ever, for the rest of the show, because, that's his baby. He got it from his dad. But he could definitely use some frig and help. But at the same time, Bold and the Beautiful's ratings, as much as the fans and myself have found the past couple of months to just be pointless, if not bad, with bad decisions, the ratings for the Bold and the Beautiful have been up over the past several weeks. So, Bradley Bell's going to take that as he did something good. And so, we can complain all we want, I guess. But if the ratings are up, if y'all are watching, they ain't going to do anything bad about it. Now, General Hospital and Days, their ratings lately, pretty bad at times. Really bad at times. Especially in the demos for GH. And then, but there was a week when Days of Our Lives was the least watched show on all of daytime. So they've had some issues here. And I was thinking about this, because I've been saying since I started talking about these soaps back in the fall, when I started doing rankings, that Ron Carlivati needs a co-head writer to, kind of bring down his over-the-top stories. For months now, all of his stories have been ridiculous and campy and over-the-top, and it all comes off as a joke, and there's no real drama, and nothing even matters. He needs someone to ground him. I was thinking about that. General Hospital's kind of the opposite. General Hospital can be so damn boring. Dan O'Connor and Chris Van Etten give very boring soap opera, and I've had complaints on some of my videos lately for GH, how there's no romance on General Hospital, no nothing. And this is supposed to be a soap opera. There was advertisements long ago that soap operas were love in the afternoon. Well, we don't get that out of General Hospital, to say the least. The last comment was from LA Bound. Shout out to you for commenting. Thank you. Talking about how there's just no romance for Sabrina, or just on the show in general. There's no romance in General Hospital. This is a fact. So I think General Hospital and Days need to swap some of their writers, personally. Now, this probably won't happen, but it should happen if both of these shows want to help themselves. I think Dan O'Connor needs to go head on over to Days of Our Lives and be the co-head writer with Carlivati. And honestly, Dan O'Connor and Chris Van Etten, they're interchangeable. Who knows who writes what? But either way, the show's boring with no romance. So, but what Dan O'Connor and Chris Van Etten do well is they tend to set the characters up on GH very well. I talk about on General Hospital since I started this, that General Hospital has all this potential that they just squander with the way they write and the way they stretch out stories, constantly squander all the potential on the show. But they wouldn't even have this potential if they weren't doing something right. And what they do right is they set the characters up well, but then somehow along the way completely fumble all the potential they've built up for their characters by either giving us terrible stories or extremely boring stories or just stretching out their stories till the end of damn time. Now, General Hospital does not write good villains, however. They really struggle in the villain department. Sometimes Carlivati can pull off a villain, sometimes. But still, I think that we send Dan O'Connor to Days of Our Lives with Carlivati, and then Dan and Ron can write that show, and hopefully Dan can ground Carlivati and bring the show back to at least be watchable, because to me, for months now, Days of Our Lives has just been unwatchable. The stories are so stupid. Ron on Days needs someone to reel him in. Clearly, Corday and the other producers don't care to do that lately. And I assume that, they had all these complaints over the past few months about the show. But they write so far ahead on that show that I don't think any of that complaining is going to help the show until the fall. So God only knows what we're going to get from this summer on the show. Either way, I still think Dan should go to Days and ground Ron. Maybe that can make a good mix. And then you get Jamie Giddens from Days of Our Lives, who is clearly a yes man for Ron. He's a script writer, but I think he clearly has had a big involvement in some of the stories because he touts himself on Twitter. He touted himself so hard for the Sarah story, and that story was royally stupid as fuck. But send Jamie's ass to General Hospital to write with Chris Van Etten. And I would only keep Chris Van Etten on GH because he's been a co-head writer on there for like 5 years now almost, so he at least should know the characters. Maybe he's the person that at least gives the characters all this potential to then squander with the writing. But maybe Jamie maybe he's learned something from Ron of how to at least put some energy into these storylines, because that's what General Hospital stories need. They need some energy, and they need to stop being stretched out forever. So maybe Jamie Giddens could help General Hospital. Now, obviously none of this is going to happen, but I was just thinking about this the past few days because I haven't made a soap opera video since the rankings, and this is what I was thinking about. And I think it would actually help both shows, albeit just a little bit, but I still think it would still help a little bit, and a little bit would help these shows a lot, because they all the American soap operas need all the help they can get for anybody watching May Sleeps.